and I'm delighted to say we are joined in the studio right now by Mr. Nigel Farage from the Reform Party. Obviously not the leader of the Reform Party. What's the official title?
Honorary President.
Honorary President of the Reform Party. Kicked off yesterday in Dover with an event at which you unveiled a new MP candidate for Dover, Howard Cox. But you also sort of kick-started, I suppose, the Reform campaign about stopping the boats, about how the Conservative Party have kind of lost the plot. But you also came up for an awful lot of the usual kind of barrage the Farage type stuff, didn't you?
I did. I mean, look, I was there to say the reason the election's on July the 4th is dead simple. The big promise of planes going to Rwanda was not going to happen.
Right.
They weren't going. There's no way that court in Strasbourg was going to allow this to happen. Sunak knew that. He knew if the planes didn't go, one of his flagship policies would have been absolutely catastrophically torn to pieces, and the Reform vote would have gone even higher. So that I was there making the point that actually the Rwanda plan doesn't work, all the while we've got a foreign court in Strasbourg telling us how we can control our borders. Simple as.
Yeah.
Worth pointing out, though, that Starmer and the Labour Party have nothing to say. Tackle the gangs. We've been saying that about the drugs gangs in Britain for decades. It makes no difference.
It doesn't work, no.
There's too much money involved.
Well, I've been saying this morning, you know, only a week ago we didn't know there was an election, right? It didn't happen until 5 o'clock last Wednesday. But ever since the starting gun has been fired, there have been all sorts of conversations about national service. We've got today the end of the Mickey Mouse degree. We've got the NHS being presented as something that the Labour Party can fix. There hasn't really been any immigration policy which has been unveiled by either party.
You know why? You know why? Because Labour opened the door to mass immigration on a scale this country had never seen, and the Conservatives have accelerated it.
Yeah.
The numbers are even bigger. So neither side wants to talk about legal immigration. Neither side will dare talk about the fact that parts of our towns and cities are literally becoming unrecognisable in every way. And I talked at the weekend on Sky with Trevor Phillips about British values being undermined.
Yeah.
Look at that demonstration last night in Parliament Square.
Incredible.
I mean, were they British values?
Well, they were shouting for jihad, as far as I could make out.
Yeah.
And they were also there from 6 in the afternoon, and they were supposed to finish at 8. They were still there being cleared out by the police at 2 a.m. I mean, you know, my father used to say to me when he watched these demonstrations in the Middle East, what do these people do for a living? You know, there doesn't seem to be anybody actually doing any work.
That's okay. The welfare state looks after everybody.
Yeah,
it's fine.
It absolutely does. But, you know, then you see the Angela Rayner story from today, where she's been seen at the weekend talking to a group of what can only be described as Muslim community leaders, I'm assuming, promising them that if Labour gets in, they will recognise Palestine, which is not even Labour Party policy.
No, and did you notice? I mean, she was begging, actually.
Yeah.
Begging for vote. Did you notice?
Quite craven.
Not a woman in the room.
No.
Did you notice the celebrations in Leeds, Bradford, Burnley? All the men outside chanting. Not a woman to be seen.
Yeah.
So we're heading for sectarian politics in which women are excluded, which virtually takes us back 100 years in terms of our advancement as a society and the way in which we've changed. So my job, Mike, over the next 6 weeks is to travel around the country and to try, through the media, to challenge Starmer and Sunak to start honestly debating issues that they would rather brush under the carpet, and at the same time support Reform candidates.
Now, of course, many people said that, you know, you should debate Rishi Sunak. I've had a couple of messages from people before you came in today to say, why don't you challenge Keir Starmer to a debate? Because actually he's more likely to be the next Prime Minister. Would you do that?
I'm going to. I'm going to. I half did it yesterday, but I'll make it more formal over the next 2 days. I mean, look, when it comes to the boats, and I'm going to say this, I was there 4 years ago, going out into the Channel.
You were on here 4 years ago with me.
Talking about all of this, and I was predicting that this was going to become, that the trickle would become a flood, would become an invasion. Now, they can't bear me using that
word. They don't like that word.
But it's 3,800 boats. Just think about that.
Right.
It's almost unbelievable that it's that big. It's like D-Day in reverse.
Yeah. Well, you said this yesterday. And also, you know, when it went over the 10,000 at the weekend, it was 5 boats, I think, all of which had more than 50 people on them.
Yep.
So these are not really even small boats anymore.
No, they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, the average 4 years ago was about 15 per boat. Now it's 50.
Yeah.
That's the big difference. But nobody has been involved with this issue more than I have. And just as Nick Clegg, when he was Deputy Prime Minister, challenged me to a debate on Europe. I think on illegal immigration, if they want to have a conversation, I'm the person to come to.
Now, Henry Bolton, who was on with us yesterday, funnily enough, was looking forward to your speech down there in Dover. But he said afterwards he didn't think that you'd actually said what you would have done to stop the boats. He said, you know, we know that Reform would have a plan.
Deport people who come illegally. And here's the funny thing. Here is how the national debate has gone so far to the left under 14 years of Conservatives. In the year 2009 to 10, the last full year of the Labour government, they deported 45,000 illegal immigrants. We now deport a few thousand if we're lucky.
And then we've done away with the detention centres that the Blair government used to have.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the answer, what I was saying yesterday, Henry, if you're listening, was that all the while we have a foreign court overseeing this. That's the Gordian knot you have to cut. Once you cut it, you're free to do what the hell you want. But people who come illegally have to know they will be deported.
Well, listen to me. When we talk to people about whether or not you should have stood and whether or not you should have run as a candidate, they say, well, we're a bit disappointed.
I know.
You know, they wanted you to be the sort of the torchbearer, if you like, because you are the leader, regardless of Richard Tyson. I'm going to ask you about him in a minute. You know, he's somebody that's very well known to me as well. You know, you're considered as the leader of Reform, even though you're not technically the leader. But you said that you didn't want to run because there wasn't enough time for a campaign.
Can we deal with disappointment first?
Yes.
All right. I was going to launch my campaign tomorrow.
Right.
Tomorrow. To say, right, that's it. 6 months on the road campaigning. Whether Sunak caught a whiff of that or not, I don't know.
Right.
Maybe he did. It's not impossible. Maybe he did. I can't start in a constituency from scratch in 6 weeks and come and talk to you, travel around the country. I literally cannot do both. So it's a big decision. What do you do?
Right.
And I want Reform to get many millions of votes. It is going to get many millions of votes. I very much hope we get that spearhead into Westminster. Because I tell you something, Labour are going to win. It's over. Labour are.
Because that's the other question I get from people is why do you not look forward to more of a sort of, rather than looking forward to coming second if at best, or coming in a third maybe at worst, why not look at actually possibly going all out and winning?
Because it's impossible. You know, we have a system that is, if this was proportional representation, an Italian style system, a Dutch style system, I promise you, I'd be sitting in here saying to you I can beat Keir Starmer. But we don't have that system. And because of that system and the way in which it works, people do, however they think, vote differently. But what we can do and what we need to do is to realign the centre-right of British politics. And if Reform aren't strong and Reform don't have a presence in that parliament, we can't do it. The Conservatives are going to be in opposition, but they won't be the opposition. They hate each other. They disagree on virtually everything. They honestly, policy-wise, serve almost no purpose. So I think that is a better, bigger thing I can do in the next 6 weeks than going to a constituency and spending 10 hours a day knocking on doors. That's the view I've taken.